Okay, we'll first look at the background and rationale of the study. I decided to look at the food processing industry because most of my experience is in retail. And I was fortunate to be given the opportunity to conduct my study at one of the largest agribusinesses in Jamaica. And by extension, one that stresses the production of quality products. The group studied houses 8 different companies, each of which are focused on the production of different products. There is also a group office, which houses the departments that manage all companies within the group. So they have the centralized HR department, the marketing department, accounting department, offices of the directors, and so on. The group employs 247 permanent staff members and 352 contracted workers. Now, for the purpose of this study, it was decided in conjunction with management to use only permanent members of staff due to the transient nature of the staff employed on contract. Okay, the rationale of study. Management was concerned about the efficiency of the staffing process and staffing levels of the group. Okay, the literature informed my research to a great extent and helped me to develop my research questions. So I will go through them with you now. Is the staffing strategy of the group in line with business goals? Is workforce planning effectively carried out within the group? How effective are sourcing and recruitment practices within the group? How effective are the selection and deployment processes of the group? Does employee development play a significant role in the group's staffing strategy? Let us go through the research methods and procedures employed. The study was exploratory and evaluative in nature. Therefore, I had to make myself familiar with the basic facts, settings, concerns of the organization. I had to formulate questions for present and future research and develop techniques or tools for measuring future data. I also had to assess my findings and make recommendations. So stratified sampling techniques were used. The group had a population of 247 permanent staff members, which included management or supervisory staff and non-management or non-supervisory staff. The sample was drawn from 2 entities in the group as well as the group office, and this represented 59% of the population. So the breakdown is as follows. Company A, 53 employees were targeted. Company B, 43 employees targeted, and at the group office, 50 employees were targeted. The response rate was 72%. In terms of the data collection, 2 instruments were used. The 2 different questionnaires were designed, rather. One for the management group, which comprised of management and supervisory staff, and another for the non-management or non-supervisory staff. Representatives from each entity were responsible for issuing the questionnaires and collecting them on my behalf. The SPSS package was used to do the data analysis, and I held interviews with the Chief Operating Officer, the Chief Financial Officer, a plant manager at one of the companies, a divisional manager at another company, and the group acting HR manager. Now for the results. Now these are the quantitative results received from my instruments. Figure 1, showing statistical results between management or non-management for whether or not they believe the right number of employees are in their department to achieve departmental goals. 44% of both management and non-management staff believe that their department had the right complement of employees necessary to achieve goals. However, interestingly, 38.4% of management and 34.8% of non-management disagreed. So even though the majority agreed with the notion, a significant number of staff disagreed. Figure 2, bar chart showing main source of information regarding job opportunities at the group. Irrespective of job category, most staff claimed that referrals were their main means of information relating to job opportunities. 30.8% of management and 15.2% of non-management staff said that the newspaper was their main source. So we're seeing where they're using a lot of referrals at the group and a lot of newspaper ads. Quantitative results. Table 1. Showing methods of testing used for evaluation in interviews. Now, the most popular method of testing used for management group were the situation judgment tests, and that had a weight of 59%. As for the management group, 51% stated that they were given integrity tests. So again, we're seeing situation judgment tests and integrity tests, and all the other tests are lagging behind. Figure 3, a pie chart showing the distribution of management or supervisory employees and whether or not they receive training in interviewing skills. A whopping 82.1% said that they have not received any training in this area. Figure 4, a pie chart showing whether or not management or supervisory staff have received training in coaching skills. 62% said that they had not received training. Figure 5, a bar chart showing management staff by level of agreement in respect of whether they believe HR deploys talent well. 48.7% of management were undecided as to whether HR deployed talent well, and that raised my concern. So I decided to look on the probation and orientation results, and they're as follows. Figure 6, showing employees' knowledge of probation period. 48.5% of employees had no response regarding the length of probation given to them upon employment. Figure 7, showing the length of time it takes non-management staff to become oriented. 59% stated that it took them months, and it was also stated on some of the questionnaires that orientation was done after the probation period ended. So persons were basically left to orient themselves. And this is the last chart. Figure 8, bar chart showing non-management staff by level of agreement in respect of whether they believe that opportunities exist for training and development. Now, 50% of non-management staff either strongly agreed or agreed that opportunities exist for training and development at the group, and many also stated the types of training they've received. However, the other 50% were either undecided, disagreed, or had no response to whether or not training opportunities exist. As for the qualitative results, now these were the notes taken from interviews held with top management. One respondent stated that he did not believe the company has the quality and quantity staff needed for the next decade. Another respondent noted that assessment tests are done by an external agency. So the agency provides the test, does the evaluation, and gives a report to HR, who meets with directors, and that team will then man the hiring process and will choose whether or not they want to request a follow-up interview with the candidate. All respondents stated that they played an integral role in the interview process and are consulted on whether or not a position should be filled in their department. However, they have not received any training in recruitment. 2 respondents spoke to the mandatory types of quality control training that all staff are expected to participate in, and 1 referred to training in HR management and performance management that are available for all managers and supervisors. It was also noted by 1 respondent that recruitment costs for the company are very high, and as such the group tries its best to retain its staff. Okay, now for the discussion of the results. The current staffing strategy could be more efficient. Now, the staffing strategy was to promote from within, improve training and development of staff, and change the staffing culture of the organization to being the fun place to work. However, my findings suggest that the current model strives to achieve business goals, however, is not doing so as efficiently as possible. There's room for improvement in how the company conducts workforce planning, because many of the staff believe that there aren't enough members in some departments to achieve departmental goals, and the COO stated that he doesn't think the company has the quantity and quality staff needed for the next decade, so they have to pay attention to workforce planning. 2 main sources of recruitment, as mentioned before, were referrals and newspapers, and as such, a variety of recruitment sources can assist the organization in finding candidates who are diverse and well qualified. The most commonly used selection tests were situation judgment tests and integrity tests, and other tests should be employed more frequently so that the recruiters can better determine how applicants will perform on the job. Management plays an integral role in the screening of applicants. However, most managers have not received training in recruiting skills. There's room for improvement in how the company deploys talent. A significant number of persons were unaware of the probation period, and as such, this reflects poorly on the communication and orientation processes that exist. Also, some persons stated that some persons stated that orientation takes place after the probation period ends, and then most persons would have already socialized themselves. There was disparity in results regarding training and employee development. Most of the managers had not received training in coaching skills. However, 1 senior manager noted that the company offers training in HR skills, in performance management, training in leadership. So it urges me to wonder if they're not aware that these training programs exist. So there seems to be a communication issue as it relates to employees' knowledge on the training and development opportunities at the company, at the group. In terms of my limitation, time and geographical location of the entities was a big factor, was a big limitation in my study. The practicum only lasted for 6 weeks, and because of the geographical location of some of the entities, I was only able to look at 2 companies within the group, as well as the group office. 28% of my questionnaires were not returned. And at the time of the study, the company was going through a period of auditing. So it was very hard for me to schedule interviews with top management. Now for the recommendations. It's recommended that the company uses an approach to workforce planning that better forecasts human resource needs. It's also recommended that they use a wider variety of recruitment sources. I recommended that they use e-recruiting options available through their websites, social media, increase internal advertisements, increase the number of job fairs and trade shows attended. It was also recommended that They provide training in recruiting and interviewing skills to managers to improve the quality of staff acquired. Another method of improving recruitment processes, I believe, is to create an employer brand slogan to develop the organization's image and brand as the employer of choice. So a possible slogan could be, "From quality people comes quality products." To improve the selection process, the group should consider the following. The group should request that external agencies, as well as in-house recruiters, use more cognitive ability tests. For example, the numeric, verbal, abstract reasoning tests. Also, they should do more simulations during the assessment stage. So, for example, a PR or marketing applicant may be given the task to conduct a PowerPoint presentation of their resume, showing their ability to market themselves as a brand. It is also recommended that new hires receive orientation before the probation period starts. Lastly, as it relates to training and employee development, management should ensure that the training programs offered at the group are actually conducted and that the varying types of training offered are effectively communicated to all permanent members of staff. Training and coaching skills should be provided to management staff so that they can further develop themselves as well as aid in the development of other staff members. So in summary, overall it is evident that the company has a staffing process. However, improvements can be made to the structure. And so I took the initiative to design a managerial estimates workforce planning tool or form. And it's simply a tool that managers can use to calculate estimates of staffing numbers needed. I inserted this into my report. And the next thing I developed was an employment structured interview guide for managers and supervisors. A little book that managers and supervisors can place on their desk and read at their own leisure, just helping them to gather information about the different types of interviews, the steps to take before, after, and during an interview. And I also designed some evaluation forms for management that they can use after the interview is done. So time didn't allow me to create more templates, but it's now the company's prerogative to look at the recommendations I've made and develop tools for themselves that will assist in the effective and efficient management of the group's staffing process. I thank you for your patience.